Welcome to ComSpark. I'm your guest host, Mark Johnson, and today I have with me Ralph and David from Mach One Digital.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Can you tell us a little bit about your team and what was your greatest technology accomplishment in the last 12 months?
Sure, absolutely. So Mach One Digital, we're a new technology consultancy.
Okay.
We focus on strategy, development, security, and some other pieces. And we founded Mach One in April of 2019. So as an organization, our largest accomplishments in 2019, we essentially stood up our entire organization from a tech stack perspective.
Awesome.
Yeah, and looking at being, remote first and, a small company looking to leverage that, follow talent around the nation, right, to leverage that talent. We've stood up a remote first friendly, high tech stack, ways for us to get together, video conferencing and everything that some companies have adopted today.
Right.
But, we're making it first and foremost as part of our technology.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are truly a digital native.
Yeah.
We are digital native.
Yeah. And so everything is really virtual, it's cloud-based technology.
100%.
And you're open to remote workforce, capturing the best talent wherever it lives across the nation and internationally.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit as IT leaders, you're both co-founders, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
As leaders of the firm, as you think about how you're going to scale your operation up and out and leveraging the technology strategy that you have for yourselves, how do you translate that into the services that you bring to your customers? Your experience in building the infrastructure and the kind of firm that you are, because a lot of your customers may not be technology firms, they may be new or they could be around a little while in brick and mortar, but you want them to help them get digital and really virtual. So how does that experience help you?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Prior to leaving corporate America, a lot of the conversation was how can we enable our workforce to be remote, right? How can we reduce some of the costs from a brick and mortar perspective? And over the past 3 years, personally myself, all of the organizations that I was a part of, we were building those types of teams, worldwide teams. So all of the technology for enabling the conversation remotely, like where are we getting together today? Well, everyone's working in all these remote workplaces, whether they're homes, coffee shops. Learning over the past 3 years what was working, what wasn't working. Now that we're going into our customers, they're asking the same questions, right? And we've got the experience now where we've lived it, right? I personally have lived it for the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years. So taking those lessons learned, understanding like it's not about locking into a specific technology.
Right.
It's a change in mindset. It's a change in how people collaborate together. And then building some guidelines and parameters around that. When you don't have everyone in the office from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, the work kind of changes a little bit. So changing that mindset.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I was recently up in Columbus. I met with a company called Magellan Health Services, and they're a $7 billion company. 50% of their workforce today is virtual.
Oh, yeah.
And they're using co-working spaces a lot as well. So I'm imagining that that's probably pretty common to the business model that you're helping your clients adopt.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, David, about the implications of the change in the cultural norms that this kind of virtual workforce creates, and what you're doing from an organizational change management dimension to help your clients who are more traditional brick and mortar adopt this more virtual model?
Yeah, regardless of technology, I think the biggest factor that everybody has to get across is communication, right? So with technology, it's just a means to communicate. So we have to work within, and depending on the size of the company, depending on the technology that they have in-house or the technology we recommend, right? Our goal is to how can we communicate the best? Sometimes that, what is said in an email may not be persuaded the same way on a video call. So we want to leverage, that adoption of finding the medium that works best for that company, right? And the folks within. And over time, it's not something we want to dump. It's not a one size fits all type of solution. So I think when we step into a company, we look at, okay, where are you today? What's the experience across the board? Or is the staff used to face-to-face meetings in an office. Well, you know what, we're going to have to break everybody apart, and we're going to have to start having conversations where you're at your desk, right? Because that whole office space with remote workers and remote people on the phone, it's a tough thing to navigate. So we want to look at how we can best move people from where they are today in baby steps, get them to a point where via technology, working with our folks, we can get to a point where we can communicate and have clear understandings.
In this new business operating model, which is kind of devoid of brick and mortar in the traditional sense, what do you see are the major barriers to adoption in organizations? The ability to step out of brick and mortar into a virtual workplace?
It's not technology, it's mindset. And I've lived that for a while. It's a transition. There, in some organizations, leadership is used to having everyone in the room and being able face to face, go around the room and say, what's going on here? How do we solve this? When your entire workforce is remote, that's a little more difficult to do. So there's a change in the mindset of leadership and understanding that they need to learn new ways to operate and communicate with their teams as well, right? They have to participate in that. It can't just be the workers are working remotely. They need to operate in that same manner.
Yeah, so one of the questions we had to explore with you was how are you embracing mobility? But mobility is you.
We are
right?
mobile.
You are mobility, so
Correct.
you are embracing it holistically.
Yeah.
One other question that occurs to me is, what is the return on investment that a business realizes when they embrace the strategy of a virtual workforce and you're able to lead them down the path of realizing that physical reality? What's the return on investment of that kind of a move for a company?
And I think that's one of the things that we try to drive into is that we're focused more on as much value as we can get. And driving to an outcome versus an output. So really focusing on defining those outcomes, success and the value to the customer and the business, and what we can do to help them get there.
Something that occurs to me as we kind of wrap up is we're here at 2020, the beginning of the decade of the 20s. You look back 100 years, we were at the Roaring 20s, the decade of the 1920s, and that decade brought so much change structurally to the Western civilization, right? Through the adoption of manufacturing automation and commercialization, consumerization of goods, people moving from agrarian jobs into the cities. As we look at the decade of the 2020s, I think the digital transformation or digital revolution is going to change the game completely. You guys are a digital native right at the beginning of helping companies realize that as technology creates capability. What final word would you say about that? What do you see in the 20s? Prognosticate as we close.
I'll let you have that one, David.
Ooh. Right, so if we refer to the 1920s, right, when we started the whole moving into cities and the rat race, right? So I guess we're anti-rat racing, right? We're going anti.
That's a good way to look at it.
We're trying to say, like,
everybody go back to be a rat. Right? I mean, not being a rat again.
That's right. So what are we doing as far as how can we give people flexibility from a technology standpoint? Those people who are delivering these projects and outcomes for these companies, as well as positioning them to, with that flexibility, provide for families, be present in where a lot of the times we spend. If you have to be in an office, we go in and we see a lot of that time spent commuting and stuff. So we want to help capture some of that back, provide as much value as we can with that additional time that we've saved,
and also break down geographic barriers for talent.
Yeah, well, I think what you're saying, if I can put it in a capsule, is that you're focused on the Uberization of corporate America. The Uberization of corporate America. Okay. And with that, I think we should close.
It is.
Thanks for sharing the information about what you guys are doing at Mach One, and congratulations for your startup.
Thank you.
I wish you much success.
Thank you very much.
If you would like to learn more about CommSpark, please visit us at commspark.tech. Again, this is Mark Johnson and Ralph and David of Mach One. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.